What is your reaction to what you've seen this week from the beginning, from the point of arrest of George Floyd to where we are tonight?
Well, I have a couple of reactions. One, this is taking me back. 6 years ago, I was in Ferguson, and the street scenes that I'm seeing in Minneapolis tonight remind me of what Ferguson looked like 6 years ago. And it was also 6 years ago that Eric Garner said that he couldn't breathe. And we've heard that again. Now, looking at the video, I certainly want to let the prosecutors, the law enforcement folks do their job and put a case together. But it seems pretty obvious that something inappropriate happened there at the very least. And I would dare say something illegal happened there. I understand there's the need to put a case together. But they also need to understand that given the tape that we all have had the opportunity to see, it doesn't seem to me like it should take an awful long period of time to put a viable case together.
We saw the U.S. attorney in Minneapolis make an appearance today, speaking to the press. She's a Trump appointee. I have to say, in the history of these events, it's very rare for a U.S. attorney to be out there making a statement, but she did. And it seemed to me to be a very full and sensitive and legally comprehensive statement. But there was a moment where she said she's been in direct contact with Attorney General Barr. And I have to say, in the past, direct contact with the Attorney General on this kind of case would sound impressive and like it was getting more attention. But the Barr Justice Department is a very strange place. What is your feeling about this Attorney General supervising this case?
Well, this administration has done an awful lot. I can't blame them for this incident, but they have certainly not reacted, I think, appropriately to dealing with the problem of poor relationships between people in law enforcement and communities of color. We put together in the Obama administration something called the 21st Century Policing Plan. It was almost something that we left in the same way that the administration left a plan for dealing with pandemics. And as happened with the pandemic materials that were left behind, apparently the 21st Century Policing Plan was just discarded. They have taken no steps, I think, to bring together the communities of color and people in law enforcement. In fact, you remember during the campaign when then candidate Trump talked about how you can rough up suspects as you're putting them in a car. Attorney General Sessions talking about not doing pattern of practice investigations, which I think is probably called for with regard to the Minneapolis police force. That's the kind of thing that sends signals. And now is a time when you have to have credibility. You have to believe that when the Attorney General says he's going to be involved, that he's going to supervise this, that there is going to be a fair, a neutral determination about what ought to happen. And on the basis of their conduct so far, I'm not at all certain that people can feel that way.
Can you explain to viewers what state and federal prosecutors would be doing now that would be delaying their bringing charges? What kind of investigative steps are they taking, do you think, that would be understandable? Is this delay to you so far understandable?
Yeah, it's still pretty early. I mean, I think that, you got to gather witnesses, interview them. You got to gather the evidence, obviously videotapes, things of that nature. Today, just this evening, watching your program, I saw a different video, seeing all three officers next to Mr. Floyd. So this, I think, accumulating evidence at this point, getting witness statements, and putting a case together. I think that with regard to the officer who had his knee on the neck of Mr. Floyd, that's a case that's probably not going to be too difficult to make. Then the question is, what are you going to do with the other three officers? And there, you probably got some more difficult decisions to make. So I think at least at this point, I can understand where they are. But I would also say that this is not a case that should take a substantial amount of time to put together.
And the officers have all invoked their Fifth Amendment rights, which is common in these cases, and they've refused to speak to investigators. So that's obviously part of the delay.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't expect that you're going to make the case on the basis of people who are trained in law enforcement supplying you with information that's going to be detrimental to them. You're going to have to build this case with eyewitnesses and the accumulation of other evidence.